Orphan Black time. So this is episode 6 of season 3 of Orphan Black, and it is called Certain Agony of the Battlefield. Let's do it.
If you don't put yourself out there, then you're never really going to find what you're looking for anyway.
Shay.
I need to check your eyes.
Got the eye disease. Helena, that was so not cool. You don't leave your sister to hang. What's happening? Why is she able to walk out? Now, either this is a dream sequence or everyone just got raptured away. For being cute, that little girl sure is creepy in dream sequences. Your dreams are creepy, Sarah. Oh crap, that wasn't a dream? Now, who's this guy? Felix is such a good uncle. Gracie, how are you doing? Felix, I love your hair. Oh shoot. Cosima, you're sleeping with the enemy. Cosima, can you ever find someone that's not probably a spy? Oh my god. No. What is happening? Oh my gosh. He's covered in glitter. I really want to see like all the outtakes of this scene. Oh my gosh.
Oscar put earwax on my gear.
That's so gross. Childhood trauma right there.
No, but the elastic's wearing out.
That's hot.
Cosima, hang on.
Awkward.
Why are you studying her?
Delphine, don't ask questions.
If it doesn't get her. Rudy will.
You really think you can take down Helena? Good luck. That is a very pretty place to be escaping. Helena, get up, baby.
Did you hear the one about the pregnant girl who fell down in the desert?
It's not a funny joke.
Because I'm hungry.
Oh, that's what's up. You ate him. You don't have to show a close-up of her eating it. It's gross. I like your pants, Cosima. Felix, you look fierce. You gift-wrapped your drug money.
Did you see that? Yeah!
Donnie, stop being Donnie. Donnie, you're an idiot. Oh my gosh. Ovaries atrophied?
So I'm gonna catch it.
That's what contagious means, Mark. Arrest her! Punch Virginia in the face. I wanted to see young clone girl again. Sarah, are you dying? Baby clone. You're damn right. I love that Helena's pictures are on the fridge. That's cool. Beth! No, oh my gosh. Your fever dreams are awesome. Sister. She's gonna walk in front of the train. Rachel, I've missed you.
Just tell me where my sister is! Where did they take her?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You know, I get that she was evil, but whenever they're mean to her, I'm like, dude, she's special needs. It makes you look like a jerk. Picking on someone with a traumatic brain injury. You're going to hell. Please, are we going to get to meet her mother? Do Rudy's scars look different? They look different to me. Wait, Delphine, you were taking the pictures? Where you were hiring someone to take the pictures? Yeah, drink, girl. You need a drink over that. Cosima, you jump in too quickly.
Is there a foot? I lost contact.
You're a liar. And no one noticed Rudy just roll out from under the car. Oh my god, Rudy, not cool. That guy was not done with his card game yet. You can't trust no one.
Listen to me! Listen to me!
Oh, Paul got stabbed. That's not good. Paul, are you gonna die?
She's never Beth I love.
Aww. You are leaking some blood, sir. Oh, don't cry, Paul.
I need to turn my back on it.
Oh my gosh. You know, I thought there was a chance this boy might live, but there's no coming back from that. There we go. I was hoping on that. Oh my gosh, what a way to go. Oh my gosh. Sarah, get up. Oh my gosh. Helena! Dude. That's gonna be a cosplay though. That Rachel with the weird little eye patch thing. Dude. Whoa, I didn't see that coming. Okay, so the episode opens and Sarah wakes up in the cell, but it's open and there's like no one on the base, so she goes wandering around and she sees Kira and she starts following her around. And Kira leads her to this like medical tent area where she sees Rudy with a needle in his vein and he's pumping a thing to make it go over to Sarah in her neck when she's asleep, and it's creepy. Dream sequences are creepy. And then Sarah wakes up from the dream, and she pukes, which is gross. And then she feels her neck, and there's like a little Band-Aid thing. Totally real. Wasn't a dream. And then Paul's outside a bunch of office building looking things and meets with this guy, and he gives him the little book he found in one of the Castor clones, like their little books of like every girl they've slept with. He gives it to this dude, and he's like, hey, they're testing on civilians, and they're not supposed to do that, so we gotta stop this. The guy's like, yeah, no, we totally should stop it, but there's not enough evidence, so I'm gonna need you to like dig deeper, and we won't say anything in the meantime. Then back at Mrs. S's house, Felix and Mrs. S are like FaceTiming or Skyping or whatever with Kira. Kira's like, hey, is Mommy mad at me? Why isn't she talking to me? And they're like, no, she's just gonna be super bummed she's missing this. They stop talking, and he's like, hey, we should find her, like, soon. Mrs. S is like, look, I got my people on it, but we think we kind of know that maybe they're in Mexico, maybe. Gracie walks in, she's like, here, I made you guys some snacks and stuff. And they're like, thanks, Gracie, you don't have to do that. And she's like, I'm just a weird servant girl, it's all I know. Cut to Cosima waking up at Shay's place, and her phone keeps going off, and Shay's like, yeah, your phone's been ringing all morning, I just didn't want to wake you. Shay's like, look, I made you a little smoothie, but first, who's Sarah? Cosima's like, how did you know Sarah? Shay's like, oh, you were saying her name in your sleep, is that an ex or whatever? And I'm like, I don't trust you, Shay, but I love you. Cosima's like, Sarah's just a friend of mine, we're really close, we're like sisters. And I'm like, that's a good cover. Oh my gosh, and then it cuts to Allison and Donnie, and what is probably the best scene of the entire series. They in bed in the chonies, making it rain, they wall twerking, it gets crazy. He was covered in glitter, which I found really upsetting. That's probably what they do sexually. And then their daughter walks in and is like, hey, and he's like, whoa, we're getting changed. And I'm like, if that's how you get changed. Allison's like, I gotta go meet our supplier dude later. And Donnie's like, I want to be there. And she's like, are you jealous? And he's like, yeah, he's hotter than me. But then he's like, no, I mean, if this is a business, we should do this together. Cosima finally gets to the office, and Scott's waiting for her there. And he's like, I called you, like, all morning. You're late. I need to tell you something. And she's like, brushed past him. Delphine's in there. Of course she is. Delphine's like, okay, how'd you get a Castor clone brain? Also, why are you doing research on Gracie Johansson? Also, have you noticed that they have the same sickness? Then back at the military base, Sarah's, like, fully sick and in the infirmary, and Paul walks in, and he's like, oh my god. Paul gives her some water and is like, hey, what's going on? He asks Virginia to know what's going on with Sarah, and she's like, I gave her some medicine, she's just having a reaction. And I'm like, dude, you're a bad liar. Sarah's like, Helena got away, didn't she? And she's like, yeah, but, you know, she's not going to make it very far, because if the desert doesn't get her, Rudy's going to get her. Then outside, Helena's, like, running through the desert. She falls. Scorpion comes up and is like, hey, what's up? You're not exhausted. You just feel bad because you miss your sister. That's the tail. It's not the mouth. That's why it wasn't moving. She's like, no, hey, wait, you know why I stopped? Because I'm freaking hungry. And then just noms the thing. It was awesome / gross. I don't like watching people chew. Then later back on base, Paul goes and sits across from their, like, base doctor guy. Paul's like, hey, what's going on? And the guy's like, well, you know, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but basically, about a month after you left, Rudy came home with a chick. The chick was sick, and Virginia treated her here, and then after that, she started making them keep logs about, like, everyone they've slept with. He's like, I'm pretty sure we're getting a baseline, and they're going to compare data and stuff elsewhere. Then back in Cosima's lab, Delphine's like, hey, I noticed you've been coming in late and missing, like, shifts and whatever. Are you feeling okay? And she's like, yeah, I feel fine. Delphine's like, is there anything I should know about? And she's like, no, there's nothing you should know about. They bring Gracie in to run some more tests, and as they're walking in, Felix is like, you know what, me and Scott are going to hang out outside. While they're outside, Felix is like, I need to talk to Rachel, like, now. And Scott's like, I know where she is, I shouldn't even know that, but I definitely can't get clearance to go see Rachel. And he's like, listen, my sister's missing. Really need to see her. Chop chop. Back on the military base, Paul meets up with Mark, and they're like, hey, what's up? They mentioned meeting in the bar, which I thought was kind of funny, seeing as, like, when they originally wrote that script, he was supposed to be killed in the bar, and then they're like, wait, we can make him a clone. He kind of gets a feel for him, and he's like, yeah, you did bring Sarah, and you could have killed her. And he's like, why did you marry the Johansson girl? And Mark's like, I fell in love with her. Paul kind of gets a feel for Mark at that point, and is like, this guy's got a little bit of a soul in him. So he's like, I need you to do something, but, like, off the record. Then back in Allison's world, she's meeting up with her drug supplier guy, and she wrote him a nice little card. She, like, gift-wrapped all of the drug money for him. She mentions wanting to take her drug game to the next level, and just then, comes speeding down the street, is Donnie in a car, just acting a fool, but it's Donnie, so it's to be expected. He's like, hey, look, I got a car. Isn't that cool? And she's like, dude, inconspicuous. We gotta be inconspicuous. The drug supplier guy's like, first of all, you're gonna need to launder money properly. You're gonna need, like, an actual business. Back on the base, Mark is letting Paul into Virginia's office so he can go dig through all the files. Paul's reading all the files on these girls, and he realizes every time a Castor clone has slept with someone, they become sterile. And at the same time, in Cosima's lab, you're seeing that Gracie is getting her lady bits checked out, and she too is sterile and going through all of the problems and the disease that the Castor boys gave her. Mark finally can't wait anymore. He comes into Virginia's office, he's looking through all the paperwork, and he's like realizing, oh my gosh, I did this to Gracie. And then he picks up a file, it's Gracie, and he's like, oh crap. Meanwhile, back in the infirmary, Sarah's just like losing it. She's all got a fever, and her heart rate's crazy, and all this stuff. Paul storms in, and he's like, hey, what the F did you do to Sarah? Did you infect her? And she's like, yeah, no, totally gave her Rudy's blood. So besides, like, the genetic defects she had to give Rudy's blood, he's, like, probably the biggest man-slut of all the clones, so she probably got, like, hepatitis, too. Sarah starts having some crazy, like, fever dream visions. She sees her younger version, like, clone kid, and the kid's like, follow me, Sarah, and I'm like, don't go into the light, Sarah. She starts, like, remembering when she was originally in Beth's apartment and watching videos of Beth and Paul together to try and get Beth's mannerisms. And then, through her dream running some more, she gets led into Mrs. S's apartment. And it's cool because, like, on the fridge, there's, like, stick figure drawings from Helena. And then turns around, holding some coffee, is Beth. Beth starts talking about how she originally met Paul and how she kind of fell for him. And then she's like, but you two are just alike. You're liars. Beth starts popping pills and is like, you don't get to miss me, Sarah. You don't get to be sad for me. I jumped in front of a choo-choo train. Sarah starts, like, airing her grievances that Cosima is still sick. Helena left her. You jumped in front of a train and I didn't even stop you. Beth's like, here, look, I jumped. I let myself get consumed by the craziness of clones. And as she's talking, she's taking off her shoes, totally reminiscent of on the platform right before she does jump. And then she's like, why did you take over my life, Sarah? And she's like, I did it for Kira. Beth is like, we do terrible things for the people we love. Then she touches Sarah's face and calls her sister, and then turns to walk. Flashback time, choo-choo train, bam, all the good stuff. Then Sarah, like, wakes up and is like, where's Paul? Paul's calling the one guy he originally met with that he gave the book to, and he's like, hey, they're doing some effed up stuff. Human trials, all kinds of crazy stuff. The guy's like, this is horrible. I'm gonna totally get on that. I'll send some people and round everything up in a few hours. You can hold down the fort, right? The guy's like, okay, the Castor boys are not gonna like if you try and take over. Are they all there? And he's like, no, Rudy's still out on patrol. And the guy's like, well, just leave him out there. He's gonna be a lot of trouble. Just, you don't need that right now. We'll be there in like 6 hours. Then back at Dyad, Rachel's like painting stuff. In comes Scott and Felix with their little, like, doctor disguises. Felix starts grilling her about the Castor clones. And I'm sorry, I know Rachel was, like, a horrible, evil person. Gonna kill her sisters, do bad things. But she's brain damaged now. Quit being mean to her. He's, like, mean. He takes her paintbrush away and, like, draws a fake eye on. And while it was hilarious, it's still mean. Felix starts getting desperate. He's screaming in her face and, like, almost crying. He's like, where is my sister? And then Rachel's just like, get me out of this place. And finally Scott's like, we have to go. Felix, wrap this up. Rachel starts like looking like she's gonna cry, and it was kind of sad because Felix is looking at her and like, whoa, she's a human, mixed with she looks like my sister. Scott tries to like reset the room, and he starts looking at the paintings, and he realizes that Rachel's been drawing these symbols, and he's like, Cut to Allison and Donnie. They're going to her mother's like soap/boutique-y type place. They show the drug supplier dude at the store, and he's like, oh, I remember doing things in the stock room. And Donnie's like, look, okay, first of all, just look at the building. He's like, yeah, this'll work. And then back in Cosima's lab, Gracie's kind of coming to terms with the fact that she's not going to be able to have kids anymore. Felix shows up, and he's like, all right, let's go. Delphine and Cosima are left in the room, and Delphine's like, I miss you. And Cosima's like, I'm not even going to respond to that. And she just turns and leaves. Out in the desert, Rudy is on patrol with some other guy, and he gets a phone call, and he's like, oh, okay. Then he's like, I'm needed back on base. And you're like, oh, crap. And then later, Delphine's sitting at her desk, and she has all these, like, surveillance pictures of Shay and Cosima, and I'm like, that's kind of creepy. Cosima shows up at Shay's, they start kissing each other. Cosima's phone rings, and she's like, ugh. Cosima answers her phone, and it's Scott, and he's like, hey, the book, all the weird symbols that Professor Duncan gave you, Rachel's writing them on watercolors. He's like, I think she might actually have the cipher. Paul goes into the infirmary, and Sarah's looking a lot better. She's sitting up, and he's talking to her, and he's like, the doctor says that you're not showing any of the same symptoms as the other women. And then she's like, Paul, did you love Beth? And he's like, this is not time or place. There's some serious stuff happening. Sarah's like, I want to go talk to Virginia. Sarah goes to see Virginia, and she's like, look, you gave me Rudy's blood. What the F? The chick's like, look at that. You're totally fine. So the same disease that affects the boys' brains, and the girls affects their lady bits, but since Sarah is able to have kids, she's somehow able to fight off this thing. Her biology is able to fight off the sickness. And then they're realizing, of course, with everything military, they're trying to weaponize this. And Virginia's like, we could totally end wars without spilling blood. And I'm like, making someone's brain explode is kind of worse than, like, spilling blood. Then the patrol that Rudy was with comes back in, and Rudy's not in there, and they take the guy who was driving into custody. But of course, Rudy's just holding onto the bottom and just drops off, and no one sees him, and he just gets out in the base. Rudy sneaks in, he starts killing all the guards, he unlocks his other brother. Mark stops Paul all secretive, and he's like, hey, Rudy's patrol just came in, but Rudy wasn't with them. He's like, I checked the sat phone, though, and they got a call from Arlington, so they know something's up. Paul gets on his phone, and he starts calling the guy, and he's like, hey, so that patrol's still out. Just totally screwing with him because he knows that guy is totally a freaking liar and setting them up. The guy's like, no, the extraction team is on the way. And Paul's like, yeah, you're a liar. So Paul's like, we need to get out of here. So he grabs Sarah and they start, like, taking off. While they're walking through the base, Paul sees another one of the Castor boys. And he grabs him, takes the gun, but the guy gets a knife and just, right in Paul's side. Paul puts the Castor boy down and he's like, we gotta go. They go to this weird little hatch. She's like, Sarah, get in. Sarah gets in and he locks it. He tells Sarah to just go down the tunnel alone. On the other side is supposed to be a parking garage to get a car, and he just tells her which direction to head. He, like, looks back, and he's like, it was never Beth I loved. And I'm like, aw, he loves her and stuff. He's probably gonna die. Then it kind of pans through the base, and you see that, like, pretty much all the soldiers are dead. Rudy has Virginia, and she's like, we gotta get to the science. They get into the lab, and they see that Paul's sitting there, and he's, like, holding a rag over his boo-boo side, and, like, the little baby bones that can help cure the Castor clones are right next to him. Rudy's, like, right about to shoot him, and Paul's like, does he even know what he's doing to these girls? So, like, she stops Rudy from shooting him, but she's like, look, Paul, you've always been really devoted to my boys, and I could always count on you. And Paul's like, okay, then just cure the boys and just stop the rest. Virginia's like, look, the science in this room could, like, change humankind. I'm not gonna give that up. And then she pulls out a gun and just unloads a clip in Paul's chest. Paul, like, slowly lets go of the rag that's on his side, and inside of it is a grenade, and I totally saw that coming. Rudy and Virginia run out of the room, but Sarah's still in the tunnels. Like, the repercussion of it hits Sarah, and, like, rocks go, and she gets knocked down. Sarah's, like, laying on the bottom of the thing, and there's, like, flashes of Kira and Beth and Paul, and she's just, like, thinking over all this stuff. And then dropping down into the tunnel is Helena. She crawls over to Sarah, and Sarah's like, oh my gosh, you came back. And she's like, come on, sister, people miss us. Which is true, because when the season is not going, I miss them terribly. And then it cuts to Rachel still drawing more of the symbols and looking at the picture of her father and her when she was little, and crying. So that was a heck of an episode. I did not think they were going to kill Paul off, but that was an awesome way to do it. So what do you guys think? If I forgot anything, if I didn't mention anything, drop a comment. Don't forget to do the things, rate, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later, so until next time.